Have you ever heard the radio program a long time ago? I can't remember the name of the guy that was the announcer. At the end, he'd say, "And now for the rest of the story." Paul Harvey. Okay, the other night when I had shared about forgiveness, and then I think it's the same night we did Jonathan's song, "No Longer Slaves." And all I could think about, I need to tell him the rest of the story. Before Jonathan was born, we had 2 little girls, and we were very satisfied with 2 little girls. And they were getting to that age that, we could actually go out without getting a babysitter. And I had been to the doctor for my normal yearly checkup, and he kept calling me back in the office to have more tests done. And I'm thinking, this is kind of weird. Why does he keep calling me back? And after about the 4th test, he had Ken and I to come in and to talk to us. And he said, "Linda, I'm 90% sure you've got cancer." And because all the tests come back positive. And I feel like that hopefully by doing a hysterectomy, we can take care of it. Well, one thing that he did not know, that a couple of weeks before this, Ken had met a new friend named Kermit Hall. And Kermit called Ken one day and said, "Can we go for a ride? I have something that's very life-changing to tell you." And as they were riding, Kermit said, "There's a special place that I go to pray every day. It's on a playground of a school, and I sit in a swing, and the Lord talks to me." He said, "Well, the other day, he appeared in front of me and told me that I was to go tell his servant, Ken Helser, that he was to have a baby, and it'd be a little boy, and his name would be Jonathan David. He'd have the voice of an angel and play the harp." And so, of course, Dr. Bennett doesn't know this, and I go home after finding out I'm going to have a hysterectomy, thinking, okay, this is going to be a miracle. I have a hysterectomy, and we have a little boy, And so my husband goes to Dr. Bennett and said, "Could we possibly do one more test?" And he said, "Because of this prophecy that's been given over Linda." And you know how God's timing is just so perfect. For Kermit to have told us this 2 weeks before I'm scheduled to go in for hysterectomy. And Dr. Bennett said, "We can do that. We'll go in Friday, we'll do another test, and then on Monday, we'll do the hysterectomy if God doesn't do something." So Saturday morning, Ken and I are anxiously waiting in the room. Can I back up just a little bit? I forgot a really important part of the story. The Sunday before I go in to have the last test done, Ken prayed for me. Now, when we became Christians, we got a farm later on called God's Farm. And we put up a big sign that said God's Farm. This is out in the country in Sophia. And some guys came twice with chainsaws and cut our sign down, because they thought we were a hippie community, and they didn't want us in Sophia. And so we had a barn that was our church. Okay. That's my daughter. Anyway, we had a barn, and up at the top of the barn is where we had our church. And on Sunday morning, Ken asked me to come up, and he wanted to pray for me. And it was one of those prayers that wasn't emotional. It was just Ken's heart of how much he loved me. And after the prayer, a friend came up and said, "Linda, the whole time Ken was praying, I saw you touching the hem of Jesus' garment." He said, "I really believe you're healed." Wow. So Friday, I have the test done. Saturday morning, we hear Dr. Bennett whistling as he's walking down the hallway. And he opened the door, put his head in. He said, "You can go home. You're 100% okay." He said, "The pathology department's been going crazy. They've called my office at least 3 times a day, so something's not matching up. You've given us the wrong woman or the wrong test. Something's just not right." And he smiled. He said, "But give it a couple of months, and then you can start working on that baby." So we got pregnant. And, of course, we tell everybody. We're so excited. God has given us a baby. I go in for my 3-month checkup. My doctor did a test, and he did another test. I'm thinking, this is kind of strange on just 3 months. And he came back in and said, Linda, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're having a miscarriage. And I want you to go home, and you keep up with me. And if nothing's happened by Friday, I want you to come in. And I got in the car to go back. I was working at that time. I was going back to the office, and I thought, I'm not upset. I'm not upset at all. I feel so peaceful about this. I'm more concerned about telling John, it's Sarah again. I'm more concerned about telling Ken and the girls. But I feel such a peace. And then the scripture comes to me that he gives us that peace that just passes understanding. We can't work it up. We can't make it happen. It's only something he can do for us. And so we told the girls, and Dusty, our oldest, was the one most excited about this. And she started to cry, and then she grabbed me and she said, Mommy, are you okay? What that did to a mom's heart, that I was more important to her than herself. So about 3 months later, we get pregnant again. But this time we kept it a secret. And it was over Christmas, and I felt like Mary. I had the promised child, and it was my secret. But we were keeping a secret because Dusty's birthday was in February, and we wanted Dusty to be the first one to know about this baby. So for her birthday, we got her a birthday card. Ken put a pack of flower seeds in it, and he wrote a little note, and he said, Dusty, we came from Abraham's seed, and God's placed a seed inside your mom, and you're going to have a baby brother. So Jonathan was born, and Jonathan was the king. He ruled our house. Dusty thought she was his mother. And in fact, when he was probably, in the 6th grade or something, he gave me a Mother's Day card, and it said to my 5 mothers. And I'm thinking, 5 mothers? I thought I was the only one. I opened up and said, Mom, you count as 1. Jody, his other sister, counted as 1, but Dusty counts as 3. Because she had totally mothered him to death. He wanted her to be his sister, not his mother. But anyway, we had Jonathan, and Jonathan was all boy, and that's what I wanted because we had 2 girls, so I wanted a boy, and he was 150% boy. The way I could tell if he'd had a good day was how dirty he was at the end of the day. If he was filthy dirty, we had a good day. We didn't walk around the mud puddle, we walked through the mud puddle. And anything that had with the ball, that's what we wanted. Music, had no interest in music. Couldn't care less. But something we did that was right, we never told Jonathan about the vision. He never knew about it because Ken and I felt like if this is God, it will happen. But if we tell him, that's putting a lot of pressure on him to think he's got to make this happen. When he was a senior in high school, he found an old guitar of his dad's. And he came in our bedroom and said, Hey, Dad, you used to play guitar, right? Could you teach me how to play? So every night, I paid the price for what you heard the other night, because every night I go to bed hearing him trying to play his guitar, trying to go to sleep and listening to this. And his senior year, Kim was talking to him one day and said, Jonathan, if you want to go to college, we need to know so we can start making plans for that. And Jonathan said, Dad, I'd go to college for you and Mom, but I don't really think that's what I want to do. I want to do what you do. And you could have knocked Ken over. And he said, I've prayed about this, and I feel like what I'm supposed to do is go to England and do a Youth with the Mission School. And I think when I'm there, I'm going to find the destiny for my life. So Jonathan left, went to England. We had the opportunity to go to England to be able to visit him. And after one of the classes one night, the kids said, Jonathan, play some of the music you've been doing for your mom and dad.
And I had a little cassette recorder. And I heard he'd been leading some worship, but he's only been playing guitar less than 6 months. And he plays this song, and I am blown away. And I said, son, that's an incredible song. Can you tell me who wrote it so I'd love to do it myself. And he said, Daddy, I wrote it. And that's when I told him the prophetic word. We held it for 21 years. Because the cancer was in 76 and he was born in 78. And he was 19. And I said, Jonathan, the first song I ever wrote was Feed My Sheep. And look at our life. Our whole life has been feeding sheep. But your first song will mark what you will do for the rest of your life. And I will play it. He's never recorded it. I'm not even sure he remembers it, but I got it on a cassette. But this was the song. We will take back our land with our testimony. We will stand.